Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and thank you for listening to the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me for another episode. And this week, my guest is Julie Fuller. Julie runs the Etsy shop Tokyo Blossom Boutique. And Julie, I think we met on Instagram, right?
We did,
We did meet on Instagram. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I'm so
really
glad
excited
to have you.
I'm very excited.
It's funny because I tell, when I talk about, what I do, and I tell people, I make friends online, and then we talk in person, and, it kind of sounds weird to people when you say that, just because.
I know, because just a few years back, it was all about don't talk to strangers on the internet. And that's all we do now.
I know, that's all we do now. And so people are like, do you even know these people? I'm like, yes, I do, actually. Yes, I do.
Yep.
So I'm glad to have you on. There's some things that you're doing that I really want us to talk about, because I think you're being very innovative with how you use social media, and I think it works perfectly for Etsy sellers. So we'll get into all that. But before we do, can you just tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah. Okay. So my name is Julie, and I'm originally from Japan. That's the name, Tokyo Blossom Boutique. And I was born and raised there, came to the States, met my husband, and now I live in Georgia. And my Etsy shop is, it's a colorful gift and accessory shop that help women focus on joy in Jesus. So you're going to see lots of pretty colors and inspirational quotes on the various aspects of those accessories. And I really love it. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, nice. And how long have you been selling on Etsy?
Well, I was just listening to your last episode where she was talking about how she opened her shop a long time ago. Yeah. And it's kind of the same story for me. I heard about Etsy and I was like, okay, well, let's just see what this is about. So I opened an account in 2010, and I think I just put a couple of craft projects up there at the time. At the time, I was sewing little pouches and trying to sell them. And the funny story is that I don't sew, so they were very bad.
Oh, okay.
So it was a very experimental project at the time. And then life happened. We found out the next January that we were having our son Sean, and we went through various job losses on my husband's part. And then we moved a couple of times. I was working 3 jobs. So my whole Etsy experiment got put on hold. Mm-hmm. And then in the fall of 2015, I got a lot of encouragement from Beth Ann over at Brilliant Business Moms to just overhaul my shop completely. And she's just been a great mentor to me. And so I went through a process of just really redefining what my product was, trying to figure out what it was that I'm doing. And it's still a work in progress, but that was definitely a defining moment for me. And I just overhauled the shop and reopened as if it were a brand new shop, and just kept the same name, change of logo. It helps that my husband's a graphic designer, so he did all that work for me.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. But from there, it just breathed new life into my shop. And like I said, it just felt like I was opening a brand new shop from that moment in 2015.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
For anyone who isn't familiar with Brilliant Business Moms, go check them out at brilliantbusinessmoms.com. And it's just a wonderful community of moms. And well, actually, I don't think everyone in there is a mom, but it doesn't matter, because it's a nice community to learn from. There's a Facebook group, which I think is so helpful if you have questions. A lot of the ladies in there sell on Etsy as well. But not all of them, but it's a good place to get good business advice. I know Bethan is really invested in that group and in the whole Brilliant Business Moms movement. So it's a great resource.
She has been so helpful to me.
Yeah, that's good. So how would you describe yours? Actually, before I get to that, so I know you said you grew up in Japan and you came to America. I have a similar story because I grew up in Nigeria and then I came to America. So I was like, well, I want to hear how you ended up in America. What brought you over?
Well, I was born and raised in Japan, and my parents were in the ministry, and so I was over there till I was 17, and then I came to college here in the States, and so I actually went to college for music, and that's what I did for the first several years after I had opened my Etsy shop. And my husband was there in the graphic design, so we met there, and he's originally from Georgia, and that's how we ended up back here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you like Georgia?
I do. We're about 45 minutes north of Atlanta.
Okay.
So I feel like we're far enough in the country where it's quiet, but it's also close enough to Atlanta to where I really get to enjoy like just the diverseness of it. And there's a lot of, I feel like you can find international things closer to the city. So that makes my Japanese side of my heart very happy.
Nice. Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, how would you describe yourself? Do you consider yourself to be a crafter, a maker, an artist, or something completely different?
I think I started out as a crafter. I mean, I think everybody's definition is a little bit different, but for me, my products they really span a little bit of a variety under one umbrella of the topic of faith-based products and gifts. And so I started out mainly with knitwear and crochetwear, and from there it just kind of grew. And now like you were watching one of my live videos, and I was making tassels, so it kind of grew into that. So I would consider myself a maker, just because there is a little bit of a variety there. But I don't know. I just really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's wondering what we're talking about, so Instagram has this feature where you can do live videos, and you can watch, if there's someone that you follow on Instagram, you can actually watch them in real time doing a video of something. And so in this case, Julie was doing a live video of herself making a tassel. And so we were just watching her make the tassel, and she was walking us through how she does it and what the process is and all whatnot. And I think it's a fantastic idea. It's a nice way to connect with people who are following you, people who are interested in your products, and people who buy from you, and they can see how what you're making and what they're buying comes to be. So for me, it was kind of exciting when I got that notification, because in the past I would always see it too late, and it would say, oh, so and so was broadcasting, and then I would click on it to go to Instagram, and it would be over. So this was the first time I actually saw it live, and I was like, oh, let me watch.
That's awesome.
In a way, it kind of feels like you're a voyeur, but it's a good kind of voyeurism, because people actually do want you to watch it, and they're doing something, something good and something fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So how did you first discover Etsy? How did you know it even existed?
I think I might have I can't remember because it's been so long ago, but I want to say I saw like an ad or something or somewhere online. And I clicked on it and I was like, oh, okay. Side income from home. That sounds very nice. Especially
attractive.
Especially if you're working 3 jobs, you're like, maybe this is something to look into, So, that's kind of how I just found it, and I was scared. I do remember, it was a long time ago, but I do remember being scared to open the account because I don't know. At the time I wasn't really much of a risk taker, so I was like, is this a scam? Is this for real?
Oh, interesting.
Well, because sometimes you see these ads for like work at home, whatever, and it's a scam.
Yes.
And Etsy was still at least to me, it was fairly new. So I was like, okay, is this legit? Is this real?
Yeah.
So I do remember that. And then after I opened it, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Okay. So, yeah.
What convinced you to open an Etsy shop? Did you think that there was potential, or did you just think you would try to just get your feet wet and see if it would work?
I think it was just, we were going through some really financially difficult times at the time, especially with the market being difficult when we got married, for my husband anyway. We got married in 2008, and then the economy crashed, and it was just a series of difficult events, one right after the other. And I was working a lot, and I was a music teacher, but I've been crafting since I was 8 and 9 years old, mainly with fiber arts like crochet, knitwear, weaving, a little bit, and some painting, like painting wood signs when I was in high school. But I didn't really get much of that between 2008 and 2011. And I was really craving that, but we didn't have any extra income for craft supplies. And so that was probably my main motivation for getting started. I desperately wanted to be able to have a little bit of extra spending money for things that I love to do, like the craft projects and the yarn and all that. Yeah. And that's really what motivated me to start.
Okay. How did you decide on the product line that you would, or rather the product lines that you would offer in your Etsy shop?
Well, I started off by just kind of doing a brainstorm of things that I love to make. And so some of the things that I offer are cup cozies with organic cotton labels on them with inspirational phrases on them. And so before I ever thought about the label, I just thought, okay, I love coffee and I know other women love coffee. So what can we make that's cute that would make our coffee look cuter? Yeah. So I was looking around and, I did notice that coffee cozies had started to become really popular at that time. And so I just sat down and started sketching out some just general ideas of some designs that I thought would be really, really cute. And from there, I figured out how to make a pattern that would execute that style of coffee cozy. And initially, all I had was the concept of a coffee cozy. And then back to Beth Ann again, I was emailing her back and forth. And I was like, okay, I've got to figure out how to make this really unique because I feel like there's so many coffee cozies out there already. How can I make this unique? And she was like, well, what about, can you stitch a phrase on there or something like that? And I said, I can't, I guess I could, but stitching it on there would be very difficult just because of the nature of it to make it really nice and clear. And so I just kind of thought it over for a few days. And then the idea of, a label, let's do that. So that's where that came from. And that's been one of my best-selling products ever since.
Oh, wow. So do you print the label and then you stitch it onto the cozy?
Yes, I actually don't print them. I outsource those. Okay. But I have those sent to me. And then from there, I hand sew them onto the wool cozies.
So you're back to sewing, huh?
Yes, hand sewing though. totally different for me.
Oh, was the first one machine sewing?
Yes, and I just have the worst luck with I have the worst luck with sewing machines, like getting my finger pierced and things like that. And I'm just like,
Well, it was brave of you to even try. I look at the sewing machine and I'm like, I'm not even going to touch it.
Oh no.
Now, do you remember when, not the first time you opened the shop, but when you decided Tokyo Blossom Boutique was going to be what it is now, or when you had a real plan for it and came back to make it really work? How soon after you decided to just put more effort into it did you start to see sales come in?
I saw it on the first day, but I feel like I was really fortunate though, because while I reopened the shop in 2015, I had already been a part of like various business communities trying to come up with a plan. And one of the things that they recommended was to really plan a big launch promotion. So instead of just opening and then start promoting it before it ever opened. So I was already showing pictures of product and saying, hey, on such and such day, I think it was the beginning of September. So such and such day on September, look what's coming to the shop. Be sure to keep an eye out so you don't miss out, things like that. I think I can't remember. I want to say that I had a coupon code made for that day, put it on Instagram and whatever other social media, saying, look, if you are come in the first day, you can use this coupon, things like that, and just created a lot of hype behind it.
Yeah.
And it really seemed to work because most of my customers on that relaunch were friends of mine or people that knew me somehow through the internet. And so I don't know how well I was doing as far as things like SEO. where total strangers were finding me.
Right.
But it really helped as far as people who knew me and connections I had online were really excited and came to check it out and purchased a few things. So that was exciting.
Oh, that's good. And I've heard about that strategy, and it makes sense that would work to build buzz. And the way at first I thought, well, who am I going to be telling? You know, do I need to have a big following? And I should ask you that. Did you have a big following of people that you were telling? Okay, so that's good to know, because then folks who don't can know that you can still talk about your product even though you don't have a large following. You're just trying to get the word out there.
Right. I shared a lot of photos of product being made in the process. It wasn't just finalized product. It was like, hey, here's a action shot of me crocheting a product and it's halfway done, but look what's happening, you know, and just people got excited with me because I was excited about it and they wanted to know more about it. So it definitely helped.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. And the way I think about that is, for like when a new, I don't know, say a TV show or a new season is starting, they're constantly, you know, showing you previews, or a movie. They're constantly showing you previews. This is what's coming. This is what's coming. Just to give you just enough to keep you interested enough to at least check it out, or go and see the movie, or, you know, tune in and watch that show. And it's the same thing. You need to give people a preview. And I didn't know about that strategy till someone else said that. And I think I was on I watched one of Renee Christine's videos and she mentioned it too. And I think that was actually the first time I heard about that. And I thought, you know, that makes sense. Get people excited about something you're about to do. And then when you do it, then, you know, at least people will, you don't have to talk as much about it. I mean, you still have to continue to promote, but you've gotten people's attention. You're in their ear. And I heard or read something about it taking maybe 7 times for someone to hear something before it really sinks in.
Yes,
that might not be scientific, but I've heard something like that.
Yes, there's that. And also people buy from people they trust. And if you're telling a story and you're letting them inside of your life, your creative process and your part of your life, then they feel like they can trust you. They feel like they kind of know a little bit about you. And I think that helps a lot too.
Oh, greatly. Yes. Because I know I would, if I've been following someone for a while, I'm more likely to do business with them than, you know, someone I barely know. Now, you said that you were part of some helpful business communities. Can you share what some of those were, just in case someone wants to go check them out?
Sure. Yeah. One of them is Brilliant Business Moms. And then, and that was probably one of the main ones that I'm a part of. Another thing that I'm a part of, it's called an Instagram pod. And there are literally hundreds of them. And they're usually very small communities. So you kind of just have to find one that fits your niche. I always say that word wrong. But basically what you do is you join an Instagram pod, and it's set up like a multi-way message system, basically, like as if you're sending multiple messages. So you all comment inside of that one pod, and you're able to just kind of connect with people in some similar genres, whether it's like a mom pod or a handmade pod, or, you know, various topics. And you just support each other by, if you've got a new product coming up, you tell them about it and they get excited about it. They tell other people about it. And it's just a really great way to, you know, build awareness on Instagram and let other people know what's going on.
How does one go about finding a pod?
I think there's actually a Facebook page. I was actually invited into one by a friend that had started one on Instagram. So I think you can actually start one. Okay. So I was invited to one and joined that way. I do know there's a Facebook page. I think it's called Instagram Posse. I think that's what it is, where people basically put out, not an ad, but, you know, like a post saying, I am such and such genre. I'm looking for people to join that have X amount of followers, that kind of thing. And you can join people that way as well. But I think, if you do have a friend who's a part of one and you join that way, that's really nice. That way you don't feel like the new kid in the room.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, you kind of already have somebody that there, and then you get to know the other people. And then from there, once you find a pod to join, you make friends in that pod. A lot of times you could say, hey, I'm looking to see if there's maybe another pod you guys are familiar with that might be a different genre, so I can reach a new group of people. Could you join, add me to another one, or tell me about that one? And I've been able to join a couple more that way as well.
Okay.
So that's been helpful.
So do Instagram pods function kind of like Facebook groups where you can have conversations in a closed group? Well, not closed
Yes.
off per se, but you can have conversations with each other, and it's not just that you're commenting on a post that one person has
Yes.
made.
Yes, it works just like that.
Oh, and it's on the
Yeah,
Instagram platform?
it is. It's in the messaging system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you are limited, like in a Facebook group, let's say you're able to drop links, and you can leave clickable links like, hey, here's the link to my website. Hey guys, check this out. You can do stuff like that. But
Mhm.
on the Instagram pod, it is purely messaging and photos, just like regular Instagram. So
Okay.
you are a little bit limited to that.
Okay.
But it is very helpful, I feel like, as far as networking and things like that goes.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. And I know Instagram has been very protective about allowing people to drop links. It's
Right.
not a place you can just go and drop a link and run away. You
Right.
just can't. And that's one of the things I like about it. Well, like and not like. I wish I could sometimes, but
Right.
what I do like is it forces you to just really connect with people.
Yes, I love Instagram. I am on Facebook and on Pinterest and other platforms as well, but out of everything, I have to say Instagram is my favorite.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. When we come to social media, I want to talk about how you're managing those. And in particular, this year, Pinterest is like on my radar big time. So I'm going to pick your brain
Yeah.
about Pinterest.
Okay.
All right. But in the meantime, let's talk about your day to day. So what does a typical day running your business look like?
Oh goodness. It varies a little bit. I have a little one. His name is Sean, and he's in a special needs preschool program right now. So his school day is a little bit different from most preschools. It goes midday, so it's like 10:30 to 1:30. So that breaks up my day just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he's out for the summer, that changes too. For me, and in my case, I think a lot of it is just growing pains right now, but I have very, very good falls and winters to where I have more business than I know what to do with that initially. And then
Nice.
summers slow down quite a bit, which
Okay.
for me as a business owner, that's sad. But right now, as a mom to a little one, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because he's out of school and I'm able to spend a little bit more time with him. So during the school year, typically the mornings I try to just dedicate to spending time with him and just doing regular mom stuff and housework and things like that while we get ready for school. And then I drop him off at school at 10:30. I'll come home and I'll just probably answer emails for a little bit, messages. I'll connect with the girls on my Instagram pod and look through all their various posts and comment on them. And then I like to use the afternoons while he's napping to actually make product and to package up orders and then ship them off, whatever I may have coming in that week. And then in the summertime, again, because it's slower, I use that time to really bulk up on inventory because I just recently, towards the end of last year, started trying to focus more on doing actual physical shows.
Okay.
So I've been using the summer months when business is slower to bulk up on that inventory so that way I'm not stressed out during
Yeah.
high shopping season.
Right.
So that helps a lot.
Okay, so you when you say bulk up on the inventory, you mean creating your product.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Now, how do you decide or how do you pick which shows that you want to participate in?
Well, cost is a big factor, to be
Yeah.
totally honest,
Yeah.
because some shows are very, very expensive. So some of them are just smaller local shows. I do sometimes do some that are a little bit more costly, but I'll try to really save up for those if I feel like it's worth it. One of them that I'm going to be doing next month is actually, are you familiar with the Business Boutique with Christy Wright?
Yeah. Oh, I have been dying to go to that.
Oh,
Are you
I
going?
went. Well, I went to the one in Nashville last November.
Uh-huh.
And so I got to go. That's their main event in Nashville, and it's a 2-day event. But this year, they just started doing something new where they're doing mini events. They're only 1 day, and they're spreading them out through the country. So one of them happened to be, it said Atlanta, but it was really Woodstock, Georgia, which is about 15 minutes up the road from me. So I was like, well, this was meant to be. So I looked into it, and that one was a little bit more than I'm used to paying for a show, but it's also a high traffic event. And after going to the one in Nashville, even though that one was a 2-day event, I was like, wow, this is really nice. And they locate you kind of in a hallway area to where everybody has breaks at the same time. So they have designated shopping times and encourage everyone to go out to the marketplace and look at everything that's going on. And you get a chance to really set up a display that looks like a mini shopping area. And it's really beautiful. I have a part of my display is a vintage ice cream cart. So I use that as my table. It's really cute.
Oh, nice.
So I'm really excited.
So do you only attend as a vendor? You don't attend the actual, like the business conference, like the seminars?
Oh,
and
you
stuff?
get to do both.
Oh, you
get to
do?
both.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
good. Because I was like,
They're
oh no, you get to miss out. Okay.
I know. They're very, very good about breaking up the times to where you have time to attend, you have time to take a break, time for lunch. I don't know if they'll do this at the 1-day event here in Georgia, but in Nashville, they actually had food trucks all lined up outside to where you didn't have to go anywhere to get lunch. You could just be there and kind of mingle with people, get to know them. And I actually made a couple of friends just standing in the coffee line. So that was really nice.
Nice.
People are very friendly.
Yeah. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what the Business Boutique with Christy Wright is, I don't know how else to explain it, but that's what it's called. It's called the Business
Yes.
Boutique with Christy Wright. And I know she's somehow affiliated with Financial
Ramsey.
Peace University. Thank you.
Yes.
Dave Ramsey. And these conferences are geared towards helping women entrepreneurs just start their businesses, expand their businesses, grow their businesses. I haven't actually been to one, so I can't really talk about what you learn in an actual conference, but that's a high level
so
what
good.
it's about. Do you have any more
Yes.
detail about what the conference offers people?
Yeah, I would say the best way I can describe it is it's equal parts inspiration as well as just the really nitty gritty of business. So it's not, I've been to one conference one time where it was all fluff. It was all like, you can do it, and that's nice. But I'm like, how do I run my
Sometimes.
business?
Yeah.
So I felt like it was equal parts encouragement and, hey, here's the nuts and bolts of what you need to be doing with your business. And they really span such a wide variety of topics within business that it's no matter what kind of business you are starting. And they're also very good about whether you're just a dreamer. They actually break it up into three styles is what they call, or whatever. They say you're either a dreamer or a builder, or I can't remember the third one, but it's basically either you just have a dream, you're just starting out, or you're somebody who's already established in business and you're just wanting to move a little further along.
Okay.
And so they're very good about encouraging people of all walks in business. So that's been that's really helpful.
Oh, good. That's good to know. Yeah. Nice. So I'll dig up a link to it and I'll put it in the show notes for this episode. So if anyone wants to check it out and learn some more, they can. Julie, let's talk about your creative process now. What inspires the designs that you make and the products that you make when you're creating something new or something that you want to put up for sale?
Yeah, I love magazines. I love magazines. I love shopping brochures. I love the really pretty catalogs that come in the mail from Anthropology.
Yeah.
I mean, even things that don't really have anything specifically to do with my genre or my products. I like to give myself a variety of visual things to look at. I think that's probably how I'm inspired the most, is visually. So that's probably why those catalogs and magazines help me so much.
Yeah. Do they help like fuel new product line ideas, or just give you new ideas for designs for products that you're already making, or a combination of both? Yeah.
Yes. Because I really emphasize bright, pretty colors so much in my shop. Anything from just seeing a piece of furniture and seeing the different color combinations on that piece of furniture, to maybe I'll see a dress in another catalog and I'm like, oh, I have those colors and I never would have thought to combine those two together, but seeing them together is just beautiful. And I really like that. Let me see how I can make that a tassel, or, a piece of, something like that. And I can't remember who said this, but it was probably at a graphic design conference that I was attending with my husband one time. And one of the speakers was saying the same thing. She was saying, I get inspiration from so many different sources that are unrelated to my specific line of work, but it makes me a better, well-rounded graphic designer by doing that. And I feel like the same is true for me. I get inspiration from a dress catalog, a furniture catalog, and it's just about, giving myself that well-rounded visual inspiration that really helps me.
Oh, nice. Do you ever find yourself getting into a creative rut?
I don't remember myself ever really specifically getting into a creative rut. I get more to the point where I'm in a physical burnout and I just have to take a break, just from the overwhelm of it all.
Yeah.
I think because I'm not constantly coming up with new product, that helps too. I kind of just have specific seasons where I'm designing new products. So during peak shopping season in the fall and winter time, I avoid designing new product altogether. So that helps to not get too burnt out. And then usually when things start to slow down a little bit, that's when I'm like, okay, now I have time. Now I can relax a little bit, think it through. What do I really want to create? And that seems to work really well for me.
Okay. Now, you mentioned overwhelm, and I think a lot of people can relate to that at different times in, just in the lifespan of running your business. Sometimes it just gets to be a lot. What do you do to overcome that, or just to get through those rough spots where the walls are just closing in and you're just getting piled up on?
Right. I think a lot of times for me it's just doing too much. And so I just have to sit down and figure out, okay, what can I cut out of my schedule for right now, and just give myself some physical rest, which for me leads to a little bit of mental rest as well. So I just have to really reprioritize and think about, okay, do I really have to do this, or am I just creating work for myself and chasing my own tail and going in circles? Because I think sometimes when you're a smaller business and you just want to grow so badly, like it's faster and faster. And so you create jobs for yourself thinking, if I just do one more thing, I'll grow just a little bit faster. And so you just have to really reevaluate and think, okay, is this really helping right now? Or am I just tired? So that helps a lot.
I know someone pointed that out to me once. Not to me directly, but I was listening to a talk someone was given, and they're like, you need to assess what you're doing if you feel like you're doing too much or you're doing a lot. Really assess what you're doing. Are you doing things that are just keeping you busy and not really moving you forward? If you're just doing something that's making you busier, but you're not really moving forward, then you're essentially spinning your wheel. So drop that. And I was like, oh, and then I started to look at things. I'm like, I do so much wheel spinning. It's crazy.
It's hard. And it's also hard because it's easy to get like shiny object syndrome where you see another
Yes.
shop and they're trying something new and you're like, oh, I need to do that. I'll grow like by leaps and bounds if I do that.
Yes.
And then pretty soon I've taken on like every other shop's strategies and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is too much. So
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yes. Oh, I know. And especially like this year for me, because I've determined, okay, I'm going to learn about Pinterest. There are like 1,001 Pinterest courses out there.
Yeah.
And everybody has, the strategy that's going to, take you to the promised land of, Pinterest mania.
Yes.
And so it's like, for me, I have to step back and say, okay, what do I really want to get out of this? And who do I really think I can learn the most and the best from? And it goes back to what you were saying about learning from people or buying from people that you know and you trust and you like.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, well, let me first get to know these people and then decide who of them that, who of these, Pinterest experts out there that I connect with or that I feel like I can trust, and then spend money on, on the product that they're offering.
Well, I did take Beth Ann over at Brilliant Business Moms Pinterest strategy course, and I can honestly say firsthand it was wonderful.
She has one?
Yes. She has a Pinterest one and a Facebook one. And I took the Pinterest one and it was very, very helpful for me to understand a lot of things. I really had to figure out a way to make it unique to me because a lot of times if you do anything crocheted or knitwear, even if you're posting a shop listing, for some reason that specific craft seems to be a target for DIYers, which is, even though you're not using any DIY keywords. So I have to be really careful about that. But her course was extremely helpful as far as understanding the nuts and bolts of how to work behind the scenes for an ad and what kind of photos really attract the viewer and things like that. So I highly recommend it. It was very helpful for me.
Okay, well, I completely missed that memo. She did not show up in any of my Google searches.
Oh, no.
No, she didn't. And I tell you, I have pounded the Google pavement looking for how to learn Pinterest, because Pinterest is really a mystery to me. I'm like, I need someone to teach me how to pin. That's how bad I am.
It's called Brilliant Pin Promotions.
Thank you. Brilliant Pin Promotions. So obviously I will link to that, everyone. So if anyone else is a Pinterest novice or less than like me, then go check this out. Brilliant Pin Promotions, you said?
Yes.
Okay. And is it videos or is it text based?
It's videos. Mm-hmm. It's very nice. You go in and you get like a sign-in code via email, and then you go to, I can't remember which, I want to say the platform's Teachable.
Okay.
So it's like a video library, and you can set your own pace, so there's no pressure. Mm-hmm. So once you get it, you're a lifetime member to where you can get into your course. Yeah.
And about how long does it take to go through the course, even if you're pacing yourself?
Oh, goodness. I want to say I was watching probably one video a day. And I want to say with some breaks and things, it took me about 1.5, 2 months, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. So.
Okay. Does she teach you how to pin?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
How to pin, and how to promote it and things like that. So.
Okay, because I've signed up for some of those where they have a full course, but then they'll give you a teaser with their mini, Pinterest course. I'm like, okay, let me try the teaser, and then in the teaser, there's the assumption for most of them that you know how to pin. And I'm like, okay, let's really go to basics. I think I know how to pin, but then I don't understand the whole repin and then pin on a board and then pin on your own board and then pin on somebody else's. It's a mystery to me. So I need really basic elementary.
Yeah, I want to say I took it last fall. Yeah. I want to say that she did talk about how to upload the photos and things like that. So Fantastic. It was very helpful. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. So now let's talk about working on your business. Sometimes, like we talked about, you do get overwhelmed. You do get, tired of doing. What
Right.
keeps you going? What keeps you vested in growing your business and keeping it going and making it successful?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest struggle is comparison. So that's usually when I start to feel like, oh, I'm not growing fast enough, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe I should just shut this down, And that's when all those discouraging thoughts start to creep in. So I have to be really careful about that. But I've found that listening to really good podcasts like yours,
Thank you.
that really helps for encouragement, and just hearing other people's struggles and realizing, what, the really great awesomeness that I'm seeing right now, that didn't happen overnight. They had
Yes.
real struggles too that they had to go through to get to where they are. So that helps a lot. I have some really great friends that I've made. I feel like I've made so many friends after opening this shop because we're all just struggling together, trying to grow and learning from each other. So, for example, I have a really good friend that I've made. She actually heard me. It was so funny. She heard me on another podcast, and she contacted me, and I was like, "Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that." And we got to know each other, and then we just became really good friends. She added me to an Instagram pod, and I got to know some of her friends. And anytime I'm just like, "Oh, it's been a rough day." She's just one of those friends that encourages me. And her name's Brenna Millville. She has a shop called Ellie and Grace, and it's a Christian t-shirt company. It's just one of the sweetest girls ever. So friends like that for sure. I also have a couple of pieces of inspirational jewelry, and sounds really funny, but I was inspired by an interview that I did with a CEO of a local clothing chain. Her name is Sherry Waynick, and her clothing chain is called Lizard Thicket, and she's been around for years. And when I interviewed her, I was just interviewing her purely for personal benefit of just picking her brain and trying to figure out what worked for her as a business mom, and how she raised her kids through the business and everything. And she had mentioned I can't even remember what it said, but she had a bracelet that really encouraged her, the words on it. And ever since then, I was like, well, that's really neat. So I have a couple of bracelets that really encourage me. One of them, my husband gave to me for my birthday, and the quote on it says, "She was unstoppable, not because she didn't have failures or doubts, but because she continued on despite them." And that's so applicable to me. It's because sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, oh, I'm failing, and maybe I'm really not doing so well at this. And then I realize, well, the failure is part of the journey, and that's what makes you better. You have to fail to improve.
Yes.
So that's one of the pieces of jewelry that really inspires me. And then I have another bracelet from Tracy over at Handmade Knits by Tracy. She makes hand-stamped cuffs and beautiful metal work. And so I have a copper bracelet from her that says "He is greater than me." So whenever I get discouraged, I have to really stop and reevaluate and think, you know what? Yeah, I don't have all the answers, and I really don't have the strength to go some days, but God does, and He has a reason for me doing this, and I have to rely on Him. So between those two pieces of jewelry, that really helps me a lot, and my friends and the podcast. So I would say that's probably my main sources of encouragement.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
Yes, no, it's nice to know, because sometimes when we work, especially when we work in isolation, and we just feel like things aren't moving at the pace we want them to or in the direction we want them to, it's easy to give up. And so it's nice to hear how other people get through those rough patches.
Yeah.
And encouraging. So let's talk next about how you promote your Etsy shop. I know you're very active on Instagram. Does social media play the bulk of your the primary role in your Etsy shop promotion, or do you do other things?
I do other things, but to be honest, Instagram's my favorite. That's probably why I'm the most active on there. I love that. As you can tell, I'm a very visual person.
Yeah.
So between the magazines and then sharing visually what I do, it's my favorite. But I do have an email list via, I don't have a separate shop page per se, but I do have a separate website that's my blog. It's TokyoBlossomBoutique.com. And so I have an email list that you can sign up to where you can get once a week I send out like an inspirational letter to everyone that's following. It feels like a really personal letter, but it might be something that my family might be going through, but it's related to my products. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
Yeah,
sometimes
it does.
I'll just, so it's I write it very personally, but it's from the perspective of, but I have a product here. Maybe it says choose joy. Maybe I had a difficult week and I'll say, this is what I went through, but it's important to choose joy because, and then I'll have a picture of the product and link back to that. And I also share coupon codes and sales that way as well. So I feel like that's really helped as far as keeping people informed about various promotions and sales that I have going on, because sometimes things get missed in social media. So those emails really help. I've also just recently started, and I mean like very recently, started a new type of promotion, and it's called, it's like a brand rep program, and it's purely done through Instagram. But basically, you put out a shout out on your Instagram profile saying, hey, I'm looking for some brand people who'd be willing to be a brand rep. And here are the qualifications. And my qualifications were, I want these people to have a public profile, takes really nice pictures, and loves our products, follows me, and loves Jesus. And so I put that out and let the promotion go for a week. And so people had to repost that promotion photo or a graphic that I put up and tag it with the hashtag Tokyo Blossom Rep. And that way I could go through and look at their profiles. And then from there, a week later, I chose a few of those people to be my brand reps. I sent them a welcome packet that contained one of my products, a thank you note, a couple of goodies, some candy, some fun things. And from there, those people will get that free product and they'll post about it once a week. And I just have to say that I've really got to know these girls, and they've been very, very great about posting the photos. And there's just a sense of community there because they feel like there's some part of something really amazing, and they get to know each other. It's really fun. I enjoy it.
Now, did you come up with this strategy for how to find your brand reps?
Oh, I wish.
Oh, I'm like, wow, that's so organized.
No, I didn't come up with it. I don't think my friends in my Instagram pod came up with it because I've seen it done with some bigger companies before. So I don't know the original source of this strategy, but I have seen it done quite a bit on Instagram.
Okay, because I was going to say, do you have the steps so that I can link to a page on your site so people can follow that?
No, I wish.
But you laid it out very well, so I think
it
will be. And if anyone missed it, you can rewind and listen to it again. But yeah, so the people that you look for to be your brand reps, and I know that I've talked to other Etsy sellers. Well, not many, but a couple who do something similar, but they weren't using Instagram, and they had people who would do home parties with their products for them. So those types of reps. Now on Instagram though, the brand reps you select, do you have certain criteria, like they should have in addition to what you ask them for, like when you do go and look through the profiles of the people who do participate or show interest, do you also look to see if they have a certain minimum number of followers? Are you looking at the aesthetic of their Instagram posts? Do those factors play into how or who you select?
Yes. And I think it varies. I just took it by case. Obviously, I try to find people who had at least a couple hundred followers. And I think too, the more your business grows, the pickier you can be. But just starting out, you just kind of have to not take anyone, but, just try to be a little bit more lenient. Like I'm growing, they're growing. So the follower part, I just tried to see if people had at least a couple hundred followers. Aesthetic wise, just clear, not blurry. I also you do want to be careful though. There are some people who make brand repping their full-time job or their children's full-time job. There's a lot of baby reps out there for baby clothing boutique companies. And so there are some Instagram accounts completely dedicated to finding positions as brand reps for baby clothing companies. And I am not a baby clothing company, but these moms were applying to be a rep for me. So I went on their account and it was nothing but baby photos. And I also saw them reposting quite a few other companies' brand rep graphics. So it was like repost. And at that point, you just have to stop and think, okay, are they just looking for free product? Are they really going to be a good fit for my brand? I don't think that they're looking for the same thing I'm looking for, things like that. So you have to be careful about that. Okay. But it's just a case by case scenario, I think.
Okay. Now I'm curious because you said some people do it or try to do it as a full-time job.
Yes.
But if they're just getting free products, how do they live off of free product?
Oh, no, they're not getting paid for it. I'm just saying that they do that quite a bit. Like that's
okay.
No, not an actual job, but yeah, they're just getting lots and lots of free product.
Okay. I was like, wait, I don't get how that works. No, it's fine. It's funny because just the other day I was having a conversation with one of my sisters and she said, "You're so literal. You take everything so literally."
Oh no.
Sometimes people don't mean exactly what they say. I was like, but if you say it, why wouldn't you mean
sorry.
it? No, it's okay. It's okay. It's a me thing. So then on your website, Tokyo Blossom Boutique, do you do some blogging? Do you also plan to use it as an additional e-commerce platform for your products or no?
Yes, I do actually. I am just now kind of looking into the Shopify plugin. I'm not exactly sure just yet when I'll officially launch that part of my site yet, but I'm just kind of playing around with it right now. I do know that Shopify, there's two different types of Shopify. I have a WordPress blog platform. Yeah. So my Shopify would be a plugin at the moment, but Shopify also offers a standalone site. So I would like to eventually be able to do a full-fledged Shopify site at some point, but I'm just now kind of playing around with it and figuring it out.
And now on the Shopify websites, there is a blogging component to it, right? So that you don't necessarily have to plug in, a WordPress site to it. You can do it all on that platform.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So when you decide to branch out, I don't know if you've heard people say how, it's not easy. It's a whole other job because you now have to send traffic to your website and do all that. Yeah. Are you giving yourself a timeline to get to that, or you'll just let it happen organically?
Well, what happened was I paid for an entire year of my WordPress site up front, and that just happened last month. So and then I found out, I was like, oh, there's a Shopify plugin, so I'm going to try it out. That's going to be my training wheel, I think, is the Shopify plugin for this next year. And then maybe by next year, I'd like to have a full-fledged Shopify site.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now, Julie, are there any things in particular that you do now that you've added to the routine of running your business that you think are helping you, particularly helpful to you in being more successful as a seller on Etsy?
Well, I recently started using the app called MamaLead, and that's helped me a lot as far as understanding SEO better. I'm very easily distracted, so I've read quite a few books on SEO, trying to understand it better, and especially specifically the Etsy SEO side of things. And I kind of understood it, but then when I'd go to sit down and do it, I'd get distracted and like, oh my goodness, there's so many things to do. But I really love how MamaLead just puts everything, again, visually right in front of you, to where it's like, oh, good job, you get a green light, oh, this is not a good thing, this is orange or red, so that helps quite a bit. And I was able to overhaul the SEO that way, and I think that's what helped me to have an extremely good November and December last year whenever I was doing that. So
very good. So
yeah.
once you subscribed and started using the tool, would you say that you saw positive results pretty soon after?
Yes, I did. I would say within the first couple of weeks.
Okay. And what was the learning curve like for you, just for anyone who hasn't yet used it?
It was really easy for me because you can use it on a trial run, a very limited trial run, to where you can't overhaul all of your listings from there, but you can kind of get a peek into the inner workings of it before you ever sign up for it.
Yes.
So I like that they do that, so that way you could test it out and decide if it's for you or not.
Yeah. And I like that they call that the dabbler account.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really nice.
Yes. Well, yeah.
And their podcast really helps to explain it too. So I feel like that's nice that they do that.
Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know, their podcast is called Etsy Jam. So go check them out too. Now, is there a lesson about selling on Etsy that you learned the hard way? And even if there isn't one that you learned the hard way, what's a lesson that you would like to share with maybe somebody who's relatively new to the Etsy selling platform?
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily unique to Etsy or if it's just small business in general. I think a lot of times, if for people who are trying to start a small home-based business, a lot of people are in the same boat where they don't have a huge fund starting out. They're just really starting out with pocket change. And I know that was true for me. I was just scraping by starting out, trying to figure out how to get this thing off the ground. And when you're doing that, you're investing everything into materials and packaging and just trying to be the very best you can on the limited budget that you're on. And so I think a lot of times advertising, that idea goes out the window. It's like the last thing on our list. We just think, okay, I need to invest everything in my product. And I think that's important, but getting found is important too. And I learned that the hard way for sure starting out. I think I was successful because I advertised via Instagram quite a bit, but then from there, trying to keep up that sales flow and keep up that, people finding me after all my friends purchase from me, okay, I got to find new customers. So, making that mistake of thinking, okay, all of my money needs to go into new product. All of my money needs to go into better packaging. It's hard. It's so hard trying to find that balance. And I don't feel like there's any scientific, you do this, this, and this, and it'll make you a success. It's so hard to answer that question, but just keeping in mind that advertising really is just as important as a good product, so that way you can get found.
Yeah. Yes. Because if you're not found, the sales aren't going to happen.
Right.
And I agree with you. I eventually one day broke down and said, not broke down crying, but broke down and said, okay, I need to put some muscle behind getting found. And then I started experimenting with promoted listings. I haven't delved into Google ads yet, which, now you can do through the Etsy ad platform. But
yes.
I think it's worth it to at least try. And I know I've said this on the podcast before, even if you just do promoted listings, the information you get back from just doing that, I don't know if you've done promoted listings, but they give you keyword information and how people are finding your shop and things like that. And I think it's helpful because then, it helps you think outside the box about how you're representing your products and your shop and what you can tweak and whatnot.
Right. And finding out which keywords people are, with the MamaLead, it helps you figure out the best keywords, but even within those, figuring out which ones change over the seasons and, out of all the ones that I've used, which ones are the most popular for my genre, those things seem to help a lot too.
Yeah. So, okay, the next question is 2 parts. What's one thing that you really like about selling on Etsy or the Etsy platform itself? And then on the flip side, is there a feature that you would like to see that doesn't currently exist on the platform?
Yeah, I really love that everything's right there. Like everything from the shipping to the finances to, just have everything right there. And especially as a one person business right now, that's so nice because I get easily distracted. And if I had to go from site to site to site to figure things out, I would probably never do it. So that makes things very easy for me. As far as a feature that I really wish I had, I don't know if it would be considered a feature as much as, we were just talking about keywords within Etsy, and they do such a great job of that. But as far as keywords, I just recently started doing Google Ads, so I don't have a lot to say about that yet because I'm still working on it. I'm trying to figure it out. But whenever people search for things on there, I'm able to track it on the Google Ads side of things to figure out what keywords they use to click on the ad. But without the ads, I have a hard time if someone just searches for something organically through Google and comes to my shop, because a lot of times it'll say traffic from Google, keywords not available. And I'm thinking, what?
I know. I hate that when I see that. I'm like, but they typed in something. How do you not know what they typed in?
So that was probably the one thing or feature or whatever that really drives me crazy, because I'm like, come on.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good one. So do you use the Google Ads through the Etsy ad platform?
I do. And during Christmas, I got several sales that way too. Now, I will say this. If you use the Google Ads directly and link it to your Etsy shop, you are able to target so much more. So if you do it through your Etsy account, Etsy will automatically derive keywords from your listings. I'm thinking that's what they do. But if you go to Google Ads platform itself, then you're able to type in things that may not even be in your listing if you want to. So I kind of like the fact that I can get extremely specific, and I can also track which keywords that I've typed out that Google showed the most that day. So I'm able to sign into the account. It says, Christian gifts for women might have been shown 30 times today, while some of my other keywords might have only gotten shown 1 or 2 times. And then vice versa the next day, and which ones got clicked the most. So I really like the specifics of it. I feel like it helps me to understand what people are searching for a little bit better.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I haven't yet really jumped into Google Ads, but I've heard, from people who really dig into it and dig into the metrics and the results that they get, that you can really mine some good information from it.
Right, for sure.
I might put that on my to-do list for 2018 once I get through Pinterest, through the mystery of Pinterest this year.
There you go.
Now, do you also use QuickBooks integrated into your Etsy account?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Right now, I'm just doing everything manually.
Okay. So do you use like an Excel spreadsheet to keep, or Google Sheets or what have you?
No, I just write everything down. I feel like I don't have enough sales coming in at the moment just to do that. Yeah.
But at least you're keeping track.
Right.
And I think that's important because, especially in the beginning when, or even if it's not in the beginning, but if sales come just, ones and twos, some people, are not diligent about still keeping track of that. And I think when things do pick up, it's harder to go back and try to play catch up and keep really good books. And so I think just developing a good system up front is excellent.
Yeah.
Is there something you're doing right now that you think is working particularly well for you on Etsy?
I think probably back to the brand rep program.
Yeah.
I really think the ads help a lot for sure, but I feel like most of my longest lasting customers, return customers, are people that I've developed a relationship with and gotten to know, whether it was via Instagram or Facebook or social media somehow. And I just really love the aspect of it, because when I'm talking to the customer, I feel like I really know them, and I feel like they feel the same way too. And so they just keep coming back. And that's really nice. And it's exciting too whenever Christmas shopping starts and you see those customers pop up and you're like, oh, they're buying for their families, So that's always
Nice.
exciting. And, then they tell their friends. And when it's somebody then and they're excited about your product, I feel like they say so much more than an ad ever could.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you've got more customers coming and then again, that happens all over again. You develop more friendships with those people. So that's probably the best way that I've been able to market.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I need to correct you on something. You said right now your business is a one-person business.
Yes.
But I do believe you have an official yarn unwinder.
Oh, yes. Yes. Sean.
Yes.
He's so funny. I have a machine. It's a hand cranked machine.
Mm-hmm.
My yarn is Peruvian wool. I like to use really high quality fibers. And a lot of those yarns don't come wound up in a skein like you would find at a craft store.
Oh, okay.
So it comes in it's almost like a big loop that's twisted, and you untwist it and it just forms a big loop. And you have to throw that onto a winder and hand crank it, and it winds it. So he'll come into the office and he'll say, Mommy, I want to wind yarn. I'm like, okay. And sometimes I'll do it if I'm in a hurry during the winter months when I'm really trying to get orders out the door.
Yeah.
I'll do it while he's napping, and he'll wake up and he'll be so upset. He's like, Mom, why did you do that? So yes, I pay him in cookies. He does a good job.
Yeah, I think that's the only currency that will work right now is cookies.
Yes, right now. He'll look at money and say, what is that?
What is that? I can't eat that. Now, we talked about lots of tools or resources already. You already mentioned MamaLead, Instagram pods, and Instagram posse. I'm going to hunt that down on Facebook and link to that. There's the Brilliant Business Moms community. Are there any other resources or tools that you're using that you haven't yet mentioned and would still like to share?
Oh, not that I can think of off of the top of my head. I do quite a bit of my business on my phone. So, phone apps for sure. I feel like those really help a lot. For a while, I actually didn't have a computer when I first reopened my shop. So I did everything from my phone.
Wow.
So some of the apps that I love, and it's a free one, it's called Fonto. It's Phonto. And it's almost like, it's not a graphic design app. It is a photo app, but you can choose a blank canvas and then add photos to it. You can change the overall shape of the canvas to where it might be like the size of your iPhone screen, or even more oblong where it's appropriate for a Pinterest pin even. So I've done a lot of my Pinterest pins directly from my phone with that app. So that's really nice. If you don't have a really nice camera, but you have an iPhone, this one is, I think, $4, but it's called Camera and then the plus sign right next to it.
Okay.
And it is a wonderful photography app. There's a lot of very specific tools on there to edit your photos to make them beautiful. And so that's a great app right there from your phone. Because I feel like a lot of times people feel like, well, I have to have a really, really nice camera, which, good photos are very important for sure. But if you can edit them really well and the lighting and make them gorgeous, then you can do a lot of those photos from your iPhone. So that's a great tool too, for sure.
I'm just impressed that you ran your business from your phone for a while. That's impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh. I was like, what? Did she say just her phone?
Yeah. And in fact, I have a computer now, but sometimes I still go back to my phone because I did it for so long.
Yeah.
I'm much faster on it. So like I do have a camera and I could edit my photos on my computer, but sometimes if I'm in a hurry or I know the weather's going to be bad the next day, so I don't have time, but today I'll take photos on my phone and just edit them there and then send them to my computer, and it's much faster.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, at least you have a system that works, and it sounds like it's really, it doesn't slow you down. You're not getting bogged down in tools and not phone applications, but like on the computer,
Yeah.
trying to learn a new software just to achieve something.
Right.
Which for me sometimes slows me down. It's like, oh, okay, I need to learn how to use this to edit pictures when, not necessarily.
I know. And it's cost effective sometimes too, because I feel like there's so many great free apps for the iPhone, or if you have an Android phone. And sometimes it's hard to find an equivalent on your computer. So it's really cost effective too.
Nice. Thanks for sharing those. I'm going to put those in the show notes for this episode. So if you have, they're definitely on the iPhone. I don't know about the Android, but I'll check it out. And if I can find something compatible that is in the Google Play store for Android, I'll link to that as well for anyone who's listening. Julie, what's the best way people can reach you if they want to get in touch?
Well, if you go to my website, TokyoBlossomBoutique.com, there are links to all of my social media, to my shop, as well as to my email VIP club, if you would like to join that. And if you join my VIP club, you get an automated 15% coupon sent to you. So there's a plus side to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the easiest way to find me on any platform.
Okay, great. So I will link directly to Julie's website. It's TokyoBlossomBoutique.com. And so you can go check out what she's doing. Her Etsy shop is Tokyo Blossom Boutique, or Tokyo Blossom if you're going to search for it in Etsy, right? That's right.
Yes,
right?
it's tokyoblossom.etsy.com. Yes.
Okay. And I will link directly to that as well. So you don't have to memorize the name, but you can search for it if you want to. Julie, thank you so much for short notice jumping on and being my guest this week. I really appreciate that. And thank you for the videos that you do. Did we even mention the videos?
I think we mentioned it in passing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, thank you for doing those. You're Tokyo Blossom on Instagram, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you do those every night?
Well, I did them every night for a few days, and then things got a little bit crazy. But yes, I'm going to be back on there very soon.
Okay. Yeah. So Julie does these live demo videos every night on Instagram. I don't watch them every night, but she does them every night, and that's dedication. And it's just nice to know, like, hey, if I want to watch one day, she'll be there doing videos.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to connect with your audience. I think I mentioned that before. Go check her out one evening. Do you do it at the same time? So can we give people a time to check out, or do you just do it when you're ready?
I need to get a system together, but right now it's kind of just whenever.
Okay. I think if you follow Julie on Instagram, it will give you a notification when the video is, when she's doing a live video, because that's what happened for me.
Yeah.
Was I think because I follow you, it just notified me that you were about to, or you had just started one. So
that's true.
That's another good way that, if anyone wants to watch, just follow Julie, and then Instagram will tell you when. Julie, thank you. I know you have so much going on, so I really, really do appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to me finally in person.
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And I thank you for listening to the podcast. I appreciate you tuning in every week. Thank you for being here, and I will be back next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.